What if the thing keeping your family from better care wasn't lack of love, but language, ritual, and assumptions that the system simply doesn't see? What if 3 sentences, one tiny ritual, and one place to write everything down could change how your medical professionals hear you, how your family makes decisions, and how dignity stays alive at the centre of care? Today, we're exploring how culture shapes caregiving, and I'll leave you with concrete, respectful actions you can use this week to protect dignity, reduce friction, and help services work for your family, not against it. Hello and welcome to Radiant Moments Caregiver Oasis. I'm Michelle from J&B Inspired. Our mission is to help caregivers find strength, balance, and purpose by offering tools that actually fit into their lives, not into a textbook. Today, we're focusing on caregiving through a cultural lens, what that phrase means, why it matters so much, and how to act with clarity and compassion inside medical systems that may not yet be built for cultural difference. Many of you will recognize this feeling. You leave a medical appointment and feel misunderstood, not because anyone was deliberately unkind, but because the questions, the assumptions, or the options didn't line up with your family's values, languages, or customs. That gap can create confusion, shame, and sometimes choices that slowly erode dignity. This episode is practical. I'll give you a simple framework, some phrases you can adapt into your own words, and micro practices that protect your loved ones and make your time with medical professionals and family more efficient and humane. Let's start with a framework you can carry into any appointment or family discussion. It's the 5 R's. Recognize, respect, request, record, reflect. 5 small actions that turn cultural sensitivity into something you can actually do. We use the 5R cultural compass as your map. Each R is a short, practical step. I'll walk you through each one and give you examples you can adapt to your own culture, language, and family. Number 1, recognize. Observe before you act. First, we recognize. Take a moment to notice the landscape before you try to change anything. Ask yourself, who usually speaks first in our family? Who tends to make or quietly influence the decisions? What words do people use for the illness, for the pain, or for death? Are there foods, prayers, or rituals that really matter? These observations are not judgments, they're information. They help you see the currents you're already swimming in. A tiny practice you can try. Before your next appointment, write down 3 things you've noticed about how decisions are usually made in your family. That little list will help you anticipate needs and choose language that actually lands. Number 2 is respect. Respect doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone. It's more than an opening line, a way of saying this matters to us without starting a fight. You might use language like, in our family, our cultural traditions are very important. Could we talk about how to keep that safe while we follow this plan? If your family uses traditional remedies or practices, could explain briefly what you do at home and then ask for guidance. For example, we continue some traditional herbal remedies at home and we'd like medical advice about how they'll fit in with this new medication. Tone here is calm and collaborative. This is important to us and we want to do it safely. That approach invites participation rather than conflict. Number 3. Request. Ask for specific workable supports. Health systems are busy and stretched. Vague, we're overwhelmed messages often get lost. Specific, time-bound requests are more likely to get a response. You might ask for one concrete action for the week. What's one thing you should focus on between now and our next visit? Ask for an interpreter for a particular language. Ask for a short family conference call if decisions are big. For example, near the end of an appointment, you could say in your own words, could you give me one thing to watch for this week and one action to take if that changes? Specificity helps everyone, you, your loved one, and the team. Number 4, record. Make decisions retrievable. Under stress, our memories are not reliable. When several family members are involved, information can get twisted and lost very quickly, and cultural choices can get overruled simply because somebody remembers it differently. So, after an appointment or a big phone call, take a few dot points and record them in your phone or notebook, or record a short voice memo summarizing what was agreed to. Include the key actions, any important cultural considerations like food, rituals, or visitors. Who is responsible for what? You can then drop that into the family group chat or care folder so everyone is working from the same picture. This reduces conflict, saves you re-explaining, and protects the cultural choices you've negotiated. Number 5, reflect, review, and refine. After you try a new approach, maybe you used an interpreter or had a shorter family meeting or named a ritual that mattered. Check in with yourself. Did this reduce conflict or confusion? Did the medical professional respond helpfully? What felt dignified and what didn't? You might set a calendar reminder in 2 weeks' time that says something like, review. Did the 2-week trial ask work? What do we need to adjust next? Reflection creates tiny improvement loops over time. The 5R compass is not about doing everything perfectly at once. It's about having a way to learn from each experience. Recognize, respect, request, record, reflect. 5 short moves that help you show up in the real world while protecting what matters most. Now, let's go a level deeper. Culture shows up in very practical places where carers often feel stuck or misunderstood. I want to look at 4 everyday domains: language and communication, food and ritual, decision-making and family roles, and spiritual and meaning needs. As you listen, notice which ones are most relevant to your situation right now. So A, language and communication. Language barriers can be obvious. Different languages, accents, or confidence levels. But even when everyone technically speaks the same language, words can carry different meanings across cultures. Terms like DNR, comfort care, or palliative can land very differently depending on your background and experiences. A few practical steps: interpreter support. If English is not the patient's primary language, ask for an interpreter when you book the appointment. If an on-site interpreter isn't available, ask about phone or video options. If you bring a bilingual family member, gently encourage the medical professional to speak to both the patient and that person, not just the translator. Teach back. After instructions, you can say something like, "Let me repeat that back to check I've understood," and then summarize in your own words. This is neutral and proactive. It catches misunderstandings early and signals to the medical professional that clear language matters to you. You're not being difficult, you're building a bridge. B is food and ritual. Food and ritual are deeply tied to identity, comfort, and belonging. Sometimes medical plans don't take that into account at all. Rather than assuming you have to abandon traditional foods or practices, you can open a conversation. Tell the medical team what foods are part of your culture and when they're used daily, on special occasions, in rituals. Then ask, is there any medical reason to avoid this? If not, how could we adapt if it is needed? If a ritual involves touching, washing, singing, or specific times of day, ask about safety parameters rather than framing it as a problem. For example, you might say in your own words, "This particular ritual is very important to our family. What safety considerations should we keep in mind so that we can honor it and still follow the medical plan?" Often there is more flexibility than it first appears. That only emerges if you name what matters and invite discussion. C is decision-making and family roles. In many cultures, decisions, especially around serious illness, are made collectively. Elders, faith leaders, and extended family may be involved. Western medical systems, however, often expect one decision maker. You can help bridge that gap by Telling the care team early how your family works. In your own language, you might say that your family usually makes decisions together and that you'd like certain people included in key conversations. Creating a short family meeting structure for yourselves, especially when choices are complex. The facts as you currently understand them, your values, what matters most right now. Comfort, time at home, longevity, independence. The specific decision that needs to be made and who will action what and by when. You can also ask the team to support a brief family meeting with a nurse or doctor present, especially at major turning points in care. Remember, you are allowed to bring your family's way of deciding into the room. D. Spiritual and meaning needs. Spiritual and meaning needs aren't just extras. They shape how people understand illness, consent to treatment, tolerate pain, and approach dying. Some practical steps here. Ask if spiritual care is available where you are. This might be a hospital chaplain, imam, elder pastor, rabbi, or another spiritual leader. You can request for them to visit or be involved in important discussions if that's appropriate for your family. When medical professionals explain options in very technical language, it's okay to pause and say you need time to process this in light of your family's beliefs. You might ask for written information to take to your spiritual advisor or a follow-up call after you've spoken with them. The heart here is to integrate, to let medical care and spiritual care speak to each other instead of being torn between them. 4 key phrases every carer can use. In this section, I want to offer 4 short, flexible phrases that can change how conversations go with medical professionals and with family. Treat these as starting points you can adapt into your own wording and language. Number 1, clarifying the plan with a medical professional. A helpful pattern is to end an appointment with clarity about one specific action for the week and one clear sign that should prompt you seek help. You might say in your own words, can we just wrap up with one main thing I should focus on this week and one sign that would mean I need to contact you or get urgent help? It's short, concrete, and non-confrontational. After they answer, write it down or record a quick voice memo so you can share it with family without relying on your memory. Number 2, asking family for a 2-week trial of help. Many carers feel guilty about asking for help or worrying that family will feel trapped. Framing help as a 2-week trial can lower the pressure. Choose one specific task. For example, school pickups on a Wednesday, 1 meal a week, or managing one reoccurring phone call. Ask a family member if they can take that on for 2 weeks and agree to check in together at the end to see how it went. This makes the ask feel temporary and shared rather than permanent and heavy. Number 3, keeping cultural rituals in the plan. When you sense that a doctor or nurse is unsure about one of your family's practices, or when you're unsure if it's compatible with treatment, you can open a collaborative conversation. You might say something like, this ritual or practice is very important to us. We'd like to keep it if we can. Can you help us work out how to do that safely alongside this medical plan? You're hiding what you do or demanding that the system revolves around it. You're inviting their expertise to help you find a safe way to continue. Number 4, requesting an interpreter. And finally, if language is a barrier at all, you're allowed to ask for an interpreter, ideally a professional one. When you book, you can simply say you need an interpreter for your language and ask what options there are if someone cannot be physically present. Is phone, video, or are there other services available? If you're told there is one, it's okay to calmly repeat that clear communication is essential for safety and ask for that to be noted in the file and for phone options to be explored. This isn't making trouble, it's safeguarding your loved one. I have 2 follow-up thoughts for habits. For any of these conversations, whether a doctor or a family member, there are 2 small follow-through steps that make your life much easier. Write or record the outcome. After a medical conversation, note the one action and one sign, plus any agreements. After a family agreement, jot down who's doing what and until when. Share it once, clearly. Send that short summary or voice memo into the family chat or keep it in your care folder. Then, if anyone has questions, you can point back to the same clear information rather than retelling the story 5 times. You don't need to memorize every example we've talked about. Even using one of these ideas once, when it matters, is a powerful act of empowerment and care. Let's talk about troubleshooting when systems don't respond. Of course, systems sometimes don't respond the way we hope. I want to offer a few escalation steps that are practical, non-combative, and culturally aware. When you're repeatedly dismissed, if you feel you're not being heard, you can ask to speak with a nurse manager, a patient advocate, or a social worker. You might frame it as wanting a short care coordination conversation to make sure everyone is aligned on safety and needs. Follow up important discussions with a brief email summarizing what you understood and asking for confirmation. Number 2, when family dynamics break down. If family members are in conflict and it's escalating as a result of the medical plan, you can lean on that 2-week trial idea to keep things light and temporary. If conversations keep looping, consider inviting a neutral third party to help. A social worker, elder, community leader, or faith leader who understands your culture and can support a calmer discussion. Number 3, when finances or access block care. When cost, transport, or access are barriers, ask hospital social work or your local health service about community health centres, multicultural services, charities, or faith-based groups that might offer small funds, transport support, or practical help. It is part of the social worker's role to know these resources, so it's okay to insist on getting that information. Number 4, safety net planning. Whatever your situation, it can help to create a very simple what if card or note. Who to call first, essential medical information, and where important documents are kept. Keep that card in a wallet, on the fridge, or saved in your phone. This supports both your family and any professionals who step in during a crisis. These steps don't magically fix a system, but they do give you some leverage and protection right now. I want to close by turning the focus gently back to you. Cultural caregiving often includes a lot of invisible work. Translating language and emotions, negotiating respect, carrying worries, translating language and emotions, negotiating respect, carrying worries about shame or judgment from your community, holding the tension between old traditions and new realities, caring for your identity as a caregiver, including your cultural identity, is part of how you keep going. Number 1, micro habits for stamina. Here are a couple of very small habits that can support your stamina. A 90-second reset. Pause. Take 2 or 3 slow breaths. Breathe in for 4, gently hold for 4, and breathe out for 6. Press your fingers together for 10 seconds and remind yourself of one line. I'm doing what I can with what I have today. A 3-question end-of-day check-in. Ask yourself, what went well or felt even slightly okay today? What needs to move to tomorrow? Who, if anyone, needs a message or an update from me? Keep it to 3 minutes. This simple check-in helps your brain close a loop on the day instead of lying awake, replaying everything. Number 2, managing guilt with a delegation lens. Many carers from strong cultural backgrounds carry guilt about asking for help and handing over tasks. Try looking at delegation through this lens. Delegation as love. By sharing a task, you're protecting your relationship and your health so that you can continue to show up in ways that really matter. You're also giving others a chance to contribute in a meaningful way, rather than silently resenting that they're on the sidelines. Number 3, cultural identity as fuel. Your culture can also be a source of strength and comfort. Think about small rituals that nourish you personally. A particular tea or meal, music or stories from home, an ancestor memory or a faith practice that reminds you you're part of something bigger. These aren't indulgences. They're stabilizers. They remind you who you are beyond the caring role. Number 4, finding community. Finally, connection is one of the strongest protective factors against burnout. You might look for caregiver support groups through your hospital, local council, or multicultural services. Ask within your faith community if there are support circles or informal gatherings. If nothing exists, consider starting something very small, even a fortnightly phone or WhatsApp check-in with 1 or 2 other families in similar situations. You don't have to build a big program. Sometimes just knowing there are 2 other people who get it can make the load feel a little lighter. In the show notes at jmbinspired.com, Radiant Moments podcast, I'll include a summary of the 5R cultural compass and a reminder of the simple 90-second reset. If you need more specific translations or local community resource links, your hospital's social work team or patient advocate is often the best starting point. You deserve culturally safe, understandable information, not just medical jargon. Caregiving through a cultural lens asks you to be a translator of values, of needs, and of dignity. That is hard, essential work. Use these ideas. Adapt the language into your own words, and remember, if one approach doesn't land, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you and the system are still learning how to meet in the middle. If this episode has helped you feel a little more seen or given you something practical to try, please share it with one other carer who might benefit. From all of us at Radiant Moments, keep taking those tiny decisions that add up to strength and take gentle care of your radiant moments. I'm Michelle. Until next time.